Hello and welcome back to the AccountScout.net training program. This is part 2 of the company setup. We'll get right to it. We'll talk about advertisers, publications, and classified order settings. First thing we want to talk about are advertisers. Who are they? Advertisers are effectively customers who purchase retail advertising or display advertising, classified advertising, miscellaneous items such as printing or graphic design, as well as prospects and leads. This is just a sample of the advertiser dashboard screen. You can see that it shows lots of information regarding the advertiser. It looks quite involved, but it's all there at your fingertips. Everything from any activities as far as phone calls that need to be made, account balances, any orders that they've purchased, any statements if you need to reprint, and invoices and payments and so forth. It's all there on one screen. Advertiser sets. They provide access to advertisers with like attributes such as maybe how they're billed, if they're prepay, if they're classified only, and maybe they get a weekly invoice such as an agency or legal, or maybe they're a prospect or a lead and you want to categorize those separately. Each advertiser must be assigned to only a single advertiser set, and they can only be assigned to a single advertiser set. So some example uses are, you might want to filter an advertiser list by set, or reports can be filtered by set, or invoices and statements can be calculated by set. So over here on the right hand side, we have an example of just a simple filter that shows up on many report screens. So you can say, I want to run this report, maybe it's a revenue report, and I only want to run it for, say, commercial advertisers. I could select that from the filtered list. Also, the advertiser list shows up on many screens. It's on the main executive, but it's also on many order screens. So in this example, we want to filter. By clicking the filter button, we can filter only on commercial advertisers by selecting the advertiser sets that we'd like to see. And then the list is immediately updated to show only those advertisers. Publications. You can specify a list of your publications on the publication screen. You can define an abbreviation for the publication. So we use that abbreviation when the publication name won't fit in many areas. You can also define the issue schedule. In this example, we're a daily or a weekly, and we define that the days of the week that's delivered, in this case on Thursdays. Similarly, if you're bi-weekly, you would select that and then define the days, the every other week that you're published, as well as monthly and so forth. Some of them require a reference issue date. For instance, if you're monthly and you publish on the 15th of each month, then you need to enter a reference issue date. Or if you're bi-monthly, where you do every other month. What that is just it's one issue date, and then the AccountScout software will deduce from that one issue date the rest of them. For instance, if you're bi-monthly and you select the date of January 15th, then it knows to skip February 15th, but that you have an issue in March on the 15th. Over on the right-hand side, you have an option to use separate issue dates for classified and retail as far as open issues. And that'll determine what shows up when you do the scheduling. So you select the first open issue date. So once you close an issue, you want to increment this date. You can do it by clicking the next issue button, or there's a tool that you can do it if you have lots of publications. And you can also have different deadlines for either retail or classified. So in this case, we did say that retail and classified get closed at different times. So we'll update those issue dates separately. If you uncheck this box, then you only have one date that you need to select. You can also click the Customize button to schedule issue dates on a calendar for maybe issues that are extra issue dates, or maybe you have non-publication periods for such as college publications that might not publish over Christmas or maybe in summer. Classified ad order settings are entered on the settings screen. And that'll determine the font, the point size, and the column width. And you need to do that prior to entering any classified orders. It is not easy to change these things once an order has been created. So you will want to make sure you enter these. So now during this homework would be a good time to do that. You can select the default sales type. That's what shows up by default on for your typical classified ad, and that's used for revenue reports. Enter the column inch or the column width. The line spacing, which is a percentage, it's similar to leading, but typically you're going to leave that at 100. Click the font button and you can select a font and a size, point size. Select your alignment, and then the default zoom factor percentage. That is actually when you look at the ad on screen. If you have a 6-point font, that might be so tiny on the order entry screen you can't see that. So if you set that to 150, it'll just zoom in on it to make it a little bit bigger. And then this is an option to decide whether or not you want to update the ad size as you type. You can also select, or you need to select, some options for images. This is the root image path. So you click your Browse button, and during our setup, we should define a network share. In our case, it's internal CM Account Scout. And then underneath that, you should have a folder such as Classified Images. That will be your root image path that is maintained by Account Scout to store images that are in your classified ads. That can be changed if you need to. If you need to move it to a different server, you can copy that root folder over to a different server and then change the path here. This is the text to display for graphic-only classifieds. In this case, we have a default as just graphic. But there might be cases where you have an ad that has been designed by your production department, but you want to, say, a service directory ad, but you want to have Account Scout manage that ad. So in the places where we normally display some text that belongs to that ad, we don't have any text since it's only a graphic. So this is what will be displayed. Now for your second set of homework, we'd like you to go in and create all your advertiser sets. Specify the issue schedules for your publications, so create your publications and set up the issue dates. And then go ahead and work on your classified ad settings. Here are the steps to define your advertiser sets. Pretty straightforward. These are detailed steps, but once you've gotten this far and you've done a few definitions, they all work about the same. It's in the Define menu, as you might expect, and it's called Advertiser Set, so you simply select that. Click New if you need to, then enter the name and the description of the advertiser set. And the description might be what you were thinking at the time, so it might be notes more to yourself about what were you thinking when I create this advertiser set, who was going to belong to this set. Here's some examples. We have billed, prepaid, classified, weekly invoice, which would be used for agencies possibly or legals, and prospect. Some examples of group functions might be something like an advertiser list. It can be filtered by set. Reports can be filtered by set. So keep that in mind. But the big one is calculating invoices and statements can be calculated by set. So you might think, oh, wait, if I have to calculate invoices weekly for agencies, but everyone else we're going to get a monthly statement, then you might think about that and say, that might make sense to make a separate set for those advertisers. So we can easily group them together when we're doing these calculations. An advertiser can be assigned to only a single set, but it must be assigned to a set as well. If you need to assign an advertiser to multiple things, there's something called an advertiser type, which would be like a restaurant, a grocery store, car dealership, so forth. And there you can assign an advertiser to as many of those as you'd like. And that's used more for revenue or for mailings and things like that. To define your publications, again, go to the Publication or Define menu and select Publications. And we already walked through the top screen here that shows the publication. So go ahead and enter the abbreviation, the frequency, select the next issue an issue date, that the next upcoming issue date that hasn't been closed out. If you'd like to customize it, select the Customize button to display the following dialog. Everything in green is going to be a regularly scheduled publication. So this is a 5-day-a-week daily, and you can see Monday through Friday is all highlighted. But we went down here to the week of Christmas, and we selected that as a non-publishing date. So all you need to do is drag the cursor onto the calendar, right-click, and it'll display the following dialog that gives you an opportunity to add extra issues or delete extra issues, or add non-publishing dates and delete non-publishing dates. So there might be times where you say, I normally publish on a Wednesday, but during Christmas we're going to publish twice that week. That's where you'd enter your extra publication date. To define classified orders settings, you want to select the settings. It's at the bottom of the define menu. And there's a classified orders tab, so select that as well. And then we already talked about the contents of it, so then go ahead and enter that information.